Hello again. I'm going to be discussing another Primal video, and in this book, Deep Nutrition by Catherine Shanahan. I'm on chapter 4 this time, which is entitled The Greatest Gift, the Creation and Preservation of Genetic Wealth. In this chapter, we're going to be discussing the diets of traditional cultures and indigenous peoples that haven't been affected by overprocessing and explain the benefits of that as compared to the basically degeneration of our diets and what that's doing to us. Most of the research that's based on this was done by Dr. Weston Price, who was from Cleveland, Ohio. I'll read here a quote in the book. It says, "Price couldn't countenance the idea that human beings should be the only species so riddled with obvious physical defects, like teeth growing every which way inside a person's mouth. After years of studying the source of orthodontic problems in active clinical practice, as well as in his lab, because animal research was a common practice in the the 20th century, he recognized that nutritional factors led to the same kinds of facial deformities in animals that he was seeing in his patients. Crooked teeth didn't come from mixing of races or being low breeding, bad luck, or the devil, and that there had to be a better explanation." So basically he realized through this preliminary work that poor nutrition seemed to be the cause of crooked teeth. So he went out and decided to travel the world with his nephew, who was a photographer often featured in National Geographic, and his idea was that he was going to locate immune groups and analyze their diet. He was going to find people basically with the least cavities and the straightest teeth and see what they were eating and compare this to our diets and maybe hopefully find the cause of why people's mandibles were so ill-formed. The book that he wrote is called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, so if you want to check that out. Basically, he studied 11 locations around the world, and his study rivals that of our RDA's because he tested for all of the fat-soluble nutrients and vitamins, which are vitamin A, D, E, and K, and he tested for 6 minerals, which were calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, copper, and iodine. What he found, basically, when he compared the diets of these people who had the straight teeth and well-formed mandibles, was that they had 10 or more times the vitamins that we have today in our diets, and either 1.5 times or up to 50 times more minerals in their diets, which is crazy to think about. But this is mainly due to the fact that life for these people, these groups that he studied, it revolved around collecting and concentrating nutrition in all of their food sources, and no recipe was really too bizarre. And what he actually ended up finding was that because of their bizarre recipes and the fact that they ate, the entire animal and things like this, that he realized he wasn't looking for beauty when he started out, but he realized that pretty much everyone who had straight teeth also had beautiful faces and strong bodies and were just the total package of health. If you want to see some examples of this, you can Google the San tribe, S-A-N, from South Africa, the Maasai tribe, M-A-A-S-A-I, from Kenya, the Himba tribe, H-I-M-B-A, the Kombai tribe, K-O-M-B-A-I, the Wodobe tribe, W-O-D-A-A-B-E, and just like the Mongolian nomad. Those are some of the examples that I found were pretty easy to Google and explain if you wanted to see what kind of people he was studying. So these bizarre recipes that these indigenous people would often eat involved the whole animal, and it was really an entire spectrum that worked together with each other when you ate them. Like in the Scottish Isles, they would eat baked cod heads stuffed with oats and cod livers, and this gave them fatty acid from the cod heads and really good minerals with their oats because their oats had been well fertilized with basically smoky thatch from the roofs of their houses when they burned fires all year long. And then the cod liver gave them great vitamins. In Malaysia, there is a delicacy is the coconut crab. It has huge claws, so it's really hard to basically pick hunt, because it's hard to get past those huge claws. But they were ingenious in the fact that they had found a way that when the coconut crab crawls down the tree after it gets a coconut, they would have a grass girdle around the tree, and the crab, convinced that it was back on land, would let go of the tree, fall 15 feet to the ground, and then lay there stunned, and they were very easily collected then. And they were very smart in the way that they allowed the crab to then gorge on coconut for up to 3 days until its shell bursts. So basically, the coconut that it ate would give it great essential fats. So they were able to concentrate nutrients like that. The Maasai tribe is known for its healthy cattle, and basically they rarely eat the flesh of the cattle. It's mostly the milk and the blood that they ingest. And the milk that they drink has 5 times the phospholipids, which are brain-building lipids and good fats for you. And the reason that they're healthy so well is just because it takes a man 10 years to learn how to take care of his herd of cows by finding the best grazing lands, doing selective breeding, and learning how to cut the jugular vein and drain blood from it with surgical precision with a bow and arrow. It just shows the difference between what we do and then what they do when it comes to food and their real knowledge of what goes on. But the reason that they did all this wasn't it was for great health, but the biggest prize that they could have was the birth of a healthy generation. That was the main point of eating healthy. The Price book is full of customs that are particularly efficient for producing highly perfect infants. In the Maasai tribe, before any couple was married, they had to drink milk from the wet season, which would give the milk really, really great nutrients in it. And then new wives in a lot of cultures are often given gifts of fish eggs or organ meats, which have great vitamins. And in the Blackfoot Nation, women there, before the birth of a child, would eat the lining of the large intestines of buffalo and then later a cow. And this enabled them, because of their superior nutrition, to live in the harsher and wilder world. Compared to what we eat, we don't fortify or protect the substrate on which all life and every living thing depends, which is the soil. We also treat our animals really inhumanely. They're unhealthy. We pump them full of toxins. And because when you butcher an animal like that, the meat isn't healthy, it doesn't look good, we then color the meat to make it more marketable and appetizing. So on every which way we go wrong when it comes to animals. Unless you get good pastured beef that doesn't need any food additive color to make it look better. Grains are often much too processed, even if they are grown in soil which has been fortified and fertilized with the right nutrients, which isn't very often. And when it finally gets to us, the consumer, we take one last stab at destroying any nutrients that are left by overcooking things, cooking with cheap toxic oils, and the fact that we have really no knowledge of what vitamins and minerals need to be combined with different acids and fats to be absorbed in your body. Otherwise, a lot of minerals that we do eat in our food just pass right through us because we don't eat them with enough essential fats or acids which help them break down and be absorbed into our bloodstream. And, a lot of people argue that we're living longer now, and so obviously, our nutrition has to be okay, and it's just modernism that's basically causing all these diseases. But, as a quote on page 70 that says, according to an article called Length of Life in the Ancient World, published in the Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine in January 1994, from circa 100 BC until 1990, we have managed to tack an additional 6 years onto the lifespan. This modest increase is easily attributable not to better nutrition or even better health, but to emergency room care, artificial life support, life-sustaining pharmaceuticals, vaccines, and other technology, not to mention the many leaps in accident prevention. Presuming that it's sensible to gauge health by longevity of lifespan as opposed to longevity of function, the numbers still tell a surprising story. Even though the average lifespan has increased slightly, according to the U.S. Census, in the past 200 years, the percentage of people actually living a really long time may have gone down. Because the percentage of Americans aged 100 in 1830 was 0.02%. In 1990, it was 0.015, and now the percentage of people living today expected to reach 100 is 0.001%. So the percentage of people living longer and healthier lives has actually gone down. And the fact that we now get old age diseases in our 30s and 40s, and there's new diseases even, that the Harrison's Principles of International Medicine, Internal Medicine, published in 1990, didn't have ADHD or fibromyalgia. Like, these new diseases keep popping up because we're so degrading our nutrient sources and we're being so unhealthy nowadays. The easiest way to fix this is to eat adequate nutrients, because you can't really tell if you're eating if you have adequate nutrients in your body, because testing for these things is really hard. Mostly because there's no normal levels. You can be eating proper nutrients and they're not stored in your bloodstream. They're stored other places, like in your liver. So it's really hard to test and say, like, am I healthy enough right now? So the greatest thing to do this is to eat the right things. And you can do this by growing your own garden, and if you can't, and that way you'll be in charge of the soil, which is really what drives the health of any plant that you eat. You can pick fruits and vegetables by the smell in the supermarket and not by their looks, because if something smells right, it's better, more nutritious for you. Looking good, things can look good and not really smell that great. And then a big thing you can do is go to, like, CSAs, Community Supported Agriculture, go to local farms and try and get some meat that's been raised in a pasture, in the sun, that's healthy, because pastured animals that aren't pumped full of vaccines and toxins is much better for you. But really the biggest thing, like the most bang for your buck, that you can do is to eat organ meats, which is one of the 4 pillars of world cuisine, if you remember that, which the 4 pillars are: 1, meat cooked on the bone, like a T-bone steak, things like that; organ meats and the nasty bits, because they're packed full of vitamins and essential minerals that you need; raw foods, raw vegetables, things like that. And even better than raw is fermented and sprouted, and that's better for you because the bacteria, which is actually good for your digestive system, as long as it's good bacteria, which you can get through fermenting or sprouting your foods. For organ meats, a lot of people, you can eat liver and onions, you can have pork knuckles for the nasty bits, gizzards, and a really great tip is to learn how to prepare the entire animal. Like, learn how to fillet an entire fish, like use the fish head, use all those things in order to really get everything from the animal, because indigenous peoples back then, they consumed every bit of the animal, so they got all of the nutrients that we get. Now we only consume the muscle, which really back then wasn't the choicest bit. That was saved for, the last people. Everyone really wanted organs. So basically, in this video, I discussed the difference between traditional cuisine and diet and ours, and how their superior nutrition formed better teeth, as Price has demonstrated in his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, and how we're seeing that as a society, our facial structure is moving slowly away from Mark Quartz mask, which Catherine Shanahan says is exactly what is happening, because she has done some research on the fact that even within a single generation, just one generation, we're slowly losing our symmetry in our faces, and therefore aren't developing properly, with something that she calls second sibling syndrome. So that's in the next video. I'll be talking about that. Thanks for watching again. If you guys have questions or comments, feel free to leave them, and I hope you found this video informational. Bye.